Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Good evening. If you was on like 5 minutes ago, I apologize. While I was on the live, my husband called and said that he made me some food, and I really wanted these Brussels sprouts. So if you don't mind, as we're waiting for people to come on, I'm going to eat. Hello. Hi, Queen. Happy Monday. Today is Motivational Monday, and I'm feeling really good. Good evening, yes. I am sorry for whoever was on here before, and then I had to hang it up, and I had to delete that one. Because my husband kept on calling me, and I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, he made my Brussels sprouts. So anyway, I'm going to have a real moment with you today, and I'm going to eat my Brussels sprouts before they get cold. So for those who don't know me, my name is Lakeeya Natasha. I am a licensed clinical social worker, mental health therapist, and wellness coach. And I am happy to be on here all these Mondays just to really share my healing journey just as a woman, but with the perspective of, yes, I do have a mental health background, I do have a wellness background, and we can all heal and grow together. So that's what we're going to be. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, goodness. Good evening. So, how was your day so far? Hopefully it was beautiful, everyone. If you're watching this on replay, definitely #replay. But as you can see, the topic for today, for Motivational Monday, is levels to healing. Just like it's levels to grief and stages to change, there are also levels to healing. And as I was saying earlier, being very transparent through my process was really a part of the healing as well, is really sharing my story, because a lot of people see the finished product, which is amazing and will be amazing as I continue to grow and shift and change and better myself. But I want people to know that this healing journey is attainable for everyone. Anyone could heal. Anyone can change. Anyone can grow. Anyone can get better. It just takes a decision that what no longer serves you is no longer needed in your life, and that you will do the work to better yourself. No matter if it's mentally being better, emotionally being better, relationally being better, physically being better, financially being better, spiritually being better. It's so many facets to us as human beings. And sometimes we can focus success so much on one area in our life, and then all the rest of the areas are really yucky and messy. And I have met many of successful people that had yucky minds, had yucky hearts, had yucky spirits. And I don't count that as success, really, when you're not whole and complete and well in all areas in your life. And that doesn't mean perfection, because if you're shooting for perfection, you're going to miss all the good in your life. Really, we shoot for excellence, because excellence is meaning that you did your very best, that you excel as much as you can do in your capacity. And that is success. So when you think about levels to healing, just like there are levels to pain, I realized that there was a theme to the levels that I experienced, but also that I help my clients through. So the first level is worthiness. I think when you experience any kind of grief, loss, good evening, loss, trauma, disappointment, letdown, rejection, the first thing that really is challenged is your worthiness. Are you deserving of anything better? After something horrible happens, when you lose someone you really love or really care about, whether it's lose them in this life or lose them like they're here living but they're just not in your life, oftentimes that feeling of rejection makes you question your worthiness. So the first step to healing for me was to figure out my worth. And I had to realize that I was born worthy, that each and every one of us is born worthy. We are worthy of love. We are worthy of peace. We are worthy of joy from day one. Babies don't have to do anything but be born and they're instantly loved, right? And as we get older, the human system comes into place, and then we then use metrics and measurements to measure growth and worthiness. We have charts that says, like, is the kid developing the right way? Or we say, oh, they're so smart, they learn all these words, or oh, they're not learning as fast. And we attach a value to the way people process information, the way people learn, people grow. We say, oh, this is really beautiful. This one is not as beautiful. This one is talented. This one is not as talented. This one, could play sports. This one can't play sports. And then we begin to compare ourselves to other human beings. But we're not born comparing ourselves. We are born fully understanding that we should be taken care of. That's what babies, they're just innate to know that someone will take care of them. Often is their mommy, just like any other animal in the whole planet, right? That they know that they deserve love. They know that they deserve to be cared for. They scream because they don't have the words yet, but they demand to be taken care of, to be seen. And as we get older, we quiet that voice inside of us that says that we're worthy, especially when you go through a lot of trauma. So for me, when I started the healing journey, it was for me to discover and rediscover my worthiness. What am I worthy of? Lakeeya, despite you being married twice and divorced twice, you are worthy to be loved correctly. I had to teach myself that, because I didn't think that for a long time, because I settled. I just thought, I've been through a lot. I have a lot of brokenness. This is probably all I'm going to get. So I'm going to try to make these things work, these relationships work. But I realized that no, I give good love and I deserve good love in return. So worthiness for a lot of people keep us stuck. If we lost people, places, things, jobs, it's hard to feel worthy in a new job. If we got laid off, it can be like, unsure of whether we belong in new spaces or on interviews. We could be really nervous because we don't feel worthy for new opportunities. When we're changing career paths, we might feel hesitant and not as prepared as persons who've been in the field for a long time, And when we get to that space, we can shrink back and develop low self-esteem, which would create us to walk in fear, not thinking that anyone would accept us as we are. We then morph into what we think people want, comparing ourselves to others and losing our value. Because any time that we do not be our authentic self, that's when we lose value. We don't lose value for things that were outside of our control. We lose value when we shrink back and try to be someone that we're not, to be accepted. So worthiness says you are worthy to be yourself at all times. You were born yourself. You were born perfect. You are not missing anything. You're not lacking anything. Everything that you need to succeed in life was already implanted in you, in your heart, in your thoughts, in your dreams, in your visions for yourself. That's who you are. And you are worthy to walk in that truth. So that is the first level of healing. You can't really heal things if you don't feel like you deserve healing. And there are so many people, unfortunately, that made so many mistakes in their life. I'm one of those people who just made some mistakes that like, why did I pick left when I know I was supposed to go right, And then you follow that path and you realize this is not right. And you feel unworthy of another chance to get it right again because you knew better, right? So worthiness says, I don't care how many chances. That's how good our God, our Creator is. No matter how many chances you need, if you're still alive, you ask for another chance, you get another chance. And that's so amazing that we get to rewrite our stories as much as we need to. And we're worthy of the rewrite. We're worthy of the next chapter. So the first level to healing is understanding that you are deserving and worthy of healing. The second level is acceptance. So acceptance is accepting all parts of you. Because when you're in worthiness, those dark parts, you kind of hide away. And you just want to feel all the good parts. I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm kind, I'm loving, right? But we know through human conditioning, through hardship and pain, through lack of support, that you had to operate oftentimes not your best self. And when you're ashamed of those parts, that's why I think the power of telling your story and being transparent, right? Is because when you share those parts, you shed light on those dark spaces. It is no shame left. And you accept and you love all of you, not just the good parts of you. I had to accept the years I was a people pleaser. I had to accept that. I had to accept the role I played in my own suffering many times, my own pain. Many things, especially when I was younger, was way outside of my control. And I had to accept that those things happen, and no matter what, I can't go back and change those things. But I am still worthy. I'm still deserving. So I'm going to accept those parts of who I am. Because I thought about it. If any of those things changed in my life would have changed. And if I'm accepting what my life is right now, I can't want to change any of those things. I can't change my old partners, because then that means I will change my children. And I love my children. And if I had to go through those seasons, they have the children that I have, then guess what? I'm going to go through that, and I'm going to accept that. Now, if it was time to reverse back time, which we can't, would I make different choices? Yes. But we can't. We can't even go back to yesterday. We only can be in this present moment. So to accept all parts of you, the parts of you that you're ashamed to show anyone, you don't even show it to yourself. I had to look at myself in the mirror and acknowledge all of those things. All the decisions, all the choices, all the setbacks, all the hurts. And say, do I love Lakeeya through all of those things? And I did. And I do. And when you accept your past and you accept your present, then you can open yourself up to some great, amazing futures. because you have to be able to understand that all of that is a part of the process. All of that makes you you. I wouldn't be as empathetic as I am if I haven't went through as much as I've been through. So many times I'm able to sit with clients or friends or family or associates, sometimes strangers. I think they just sense it, that I'm just easy to talk to. And I sit with them and whatever they're going through. And even though I can't say I understand, because I hate when people say they understand, and you can't really truly understand what anyone's journey is, because each one of our journey is completely unique. But we can say we can relate to that pain. We can relate to that disappointment. We can relate to that sorrow. Good evening. Good evening. And in that, I can sit with so many people because I had so many experiences. And I can join with them in whatever heartache they're feeling, because I've lost a lot. And I experienced a lot of grief and a lot of disappointment and a lot of challenges. Not just emotionally or mentally, but also physically, having chronic illness. I can really understand a lot of people with autoimmune disorders and other chronic pains and illnesses, because I sit with that. And I'm grateful that I can sit with that. I accept that part of me. But acceptance doesn't mean paralyzing, right? Acceptance doesn't mean that it is what it is and this is all I got. Acceptance means I had all this time to have all these experiences, and I accept those experiences as my truth. And I will use those experiences to get me to where I'm going next. And I am accepting that. I'm accepting it as a part of my journey, without shame, without guilt. We have to forgive all those who hurt us. And sometimes it's like, what? I'm not ready to forgive. Forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you, you know? And when you forgive, it doesn't mean that person has to come back into your life. I did a post earlier. Thank you. Thank you very much. I did a post earlier about reconciliation. I feel like I am so better at letting go and being easily ready to reconcile with people, but not at any cost, right? It really comes at honest communications and accountability. And if someone come to me with honest communication and accountability for their part, and say, hey, I'm ready to try to be better. Of course, would they be in that same place they was in my life before? Probably not, because I accepted that was one chapter of my life. And that don't mean everyone gets to play the same characters in the next chapter in our lives. And sometimes our loyalty to things, whether it's a job, whether it's relationships, whether it's romantic relationships, we are so loyal that we think forgiveness meaning that person gets right back into that spot. It doesn't. We accept what has happened as the truth. We accept what they did to hurt us or disappoint us. And we accept that people can grow and change just like we growing and changing. And we'll give them opportunity through honest communication and accountability, and they get a new role, because we can't go back to what it was before, because we cannot go back, right? So accepting is a part of that. As forgiveness is, yes, forgiveness is for you. Yes. Hi, Mel. I'm so proud of you. You're doing amazing. And a lot of times we hold on to that anger, to that pain. For so many years, I couldn't even say my mom's brother's name without like so much anger and angst. You know, even if I seen the name, it wasn't even him, it was seeing the name, I just like tense up because I didn't let it go. And I had to let it go for me. And it's funny that when I let it go, then I wound up having a client with the same name. And I'm able to work with the client. And I'm able to work with this man and see him separate from my perpetrator and give him such a loving, kind experience and exchange as his therapist because I let it go. Right? I did that for myself. Because I realized broken people try to break people. Just like hurt people try to hurt people. So I feel sorry for the people that hurt me, because that means they're hurting. If you're whole and you're complete, you're not going to take from someone else in that negative way. You're not going to take more than you can give to anyone. And you're going to leave them better than when you first met them. That's what we were born to do. That was our communion, right? With God when he made Adam, and then he said, oh, he's not meant to be alone. Let me give him a wife. Took his rib and created a person, right? And then she gave to him relationship. And that's how it's supposed to be. Any type of relationship, give and take. And oftentimes when we are hurt by another, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, it's because one person is taking more than that they're giving. And that we have to accept and see for the truth. And once you know that and know that you're worthy of the same that you're giving out, then you can kind of surrender that. And that's the third step. Right in the flow. The third level to healing is surrendering. So first, you realize that you're worthy of healing. You're worthy of love and joy and peace. You're worthy of your dreams and your visions. You're worthy of success. You're worthy of all those things. And then you accept the truth of the matter, the good and the bad about you and about everyone around you. And you forgive yourself and you forgive others and you accept your past for what it is. It's just the precursor to your future. It's not all who you are. It's a part of who you are that you should also love, right? Accept. And then surrender. Then you get to the point in healing like, okay, I know my worth. You know, I accepted who I am. I see me as magnificent. I'm developing good self-esteem. I'm developing confidence. I am now redreaming those dreams that I thought died. I am now investing in myself, in my health, in my mental health, in my financial wellness, in my spiritual health. And I'm getting stronger. And then we get strong enough to let things go. Surrendering. Letting things go that no longer serves you. In 2018, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 2017? Whoa, 2017. The end of 2017 going into 2018, I did a post with my head bowed down and I had my big skirt on, and I did a post about surrendering. And I said, Lord, I don't know what you have next for me, but I am ready to let go everything that's not supposed to be in this next part of my life. And in 2018, God told me to sell my house. And I was a proud first-time homeowner in my family. And God said, sell your house. I was like, okay, surrender. I had to surrender it. God told me to leave my church at the time. That was hard because I was like, I grew so much there. And it was like, it's time, and I had to leave. And then God was like, oh, you did enough in this relationship. It's time for you to leave. And I'm like, I'm going to be 2-time divorced. What is people going to say? Like, how are people going to respect me? I have a couples organization called the Love Train. Like, what is going to happen to me? God said, you're going to be good. And I'm like, okay. So at this point, he's stripping all these things from me. On the other side, I got diagnosed with all these autoimmune disorders. So it's like, now I got all these health issues, and I'm like doing all these new things. And it was a scary time. It was a very scary time, but I believed what God said. God told me greater is coming. And if you have been following me for a while, you may even remember I used to post greater is coming all the time. Greater is coming, because it's all he would say. Greater is coming. And I'm like, I need greater now, you know? And greater is coming, greater is coming. And when I heard that message, I knew that no matter what was going to happen, it was going to be greater than the latter part of my life, right? And I just believed that. So surrendering meaning I had to let go all that I thought I needed to make me feel good, to make me feel successful, to make me feel pretty, you know. My ex liked long hair. I had long locks, and I was feeling the urge to cut them off. And he's like, you're not going to look beautiful that way. And one day I just was like, I'm going to cut it. Because I felt God say that I am beautiful. I don't need to hide behind anything. And I was getting sick, and my hair was thinning anyway. So I was like pretending to be something I'm not, which I already talked about. Of like, that's how we lose value. We lose value when we pretend to be something we're not. When we're being ourselves, we are full of value. No one else can beat us. That is our superpower. That is our strength. Soon as we try to duplicate what someone else is doing, and I'm not talking about admiration, like you like what someone is and you're trying to make it a part of who you are, like a mentor, mentee type of situation. No, I'm talking about you are shifting and changing who you are to fit into spaces you don't belong. And I had to honestly look at myself and say, I did that. I did that for many years because I never really had a lot of friends as a kid. You know, that's a whole different thing. I was bullied a lot. You know, now everybody wears glasses, but I wear glasses since kindergarten. I was always teased. You know, now you have big lips and big noses is beautiful. It wasn't then. Having dark skin is gorgeous, you know, but I always was teased, you know. So I didn't have much confidence in the way I looked anyway. So to have men say, I have to look this way, I had to dress this way, I had to act this way, I had to have my hair this way. I just did it because I wanted acceptance, right? Going back to acceptance. So once God said, no, you're beautiful. Go ahead and cut your hair. I cut my hair, and I felt like I looked at myself for the first time in my whole life. Honestly, I could just still, I still can remember that day. I'm getting emotional. Because it was the first time in my whole life that I felt like I really seen myself. And she was beautiful. And I wanted to love her really well. And I know I did not take good care of her. And I had to accept that part too. So I surrendered it. I surrendered what I thought was beautiful. And I found what was beautiful for me. And and everyone has their own look and their own, that's what I'm saying. Everyone is different. But this is beautiful to me. And then when I want to wear a wig and be sassy, you know, I could do that. Because I think hair is beautiful too, especially beautiful natural hair. I think it's so beautiful. But guess what? This is me. And I love her. So surrendering that. Then in 2021, God told me to surrender alcohol because my family has deep ties with alcoholism. Mother, grandparents, father, grandfather, everybody, sibling, everybody has an issue with alcoholism. And because nobody in no treatment programs, you don't think that people are alcoholics, but, emotionally drinking, right? So I didn't feel like that I was an alcoholic at all, but I felt like I was emotionally drinking. When I was upset, I drank. When I was sad, I was drinking. You know how people like, oh, I need my wine. I had a stressful day. Like, that was me, and I wanted to stop numbing myself. I wanted to feel what I was going through because I knew I was healing, I was changing, I was growing. And in 2021, when God said, I need you to give it up, I'm like, okay. I then began to feel the shift in my life because I began to feel all the emotions that I normally drink away. And that was a scary time because I had no escape. I had to face it head on and say, okay, Lord, I feel bad. I feel sad. I feel lonely. My interactions with most people had to shift because a lot of my socialization was around drinking. Drinking at restaurants, drinking at bars, drinking at people's houses, drinking at parties, drinking at barbecues, having fun, drinking. And when I became the sober friend, or the sober child, or the sober family member, the first few months, people didn't believe it and really challenged me on that. But I was like, I don't know. I thought maybe a few months or maybe a year. Like if I get to 365 days, then God will be like, okay, you can drink again. But what happened when I stopped drinking, for anyone who has any autoimmune disorder or chronic illness, when I stopped drinking, after a few months, my inflammation plummeted. It went so down. I felt so much better. So I'm like, oh God, it wasn't just about breaking that pattern within my family. You were telling me the remedy to my pain. Sometimes we need to listen to that inner voice because it has the answers, and sometimes we do the wrong thing, So he was literally giving me the answer to my pain, physical pain. So in 2021, I stopped drinking. I have not drank since. I have reduced the amount of times I'm in the hospital. I have only been in the hospital overnight one time since I stopped drinking. And I think I had a couple of ER visits, but that's it. Normally, I've been admitted into the hospital at least 3-4 times a year before I stopped drinking. Didn't realize that the alcohol was causing inflammation. So God, so merciful, so kind. When he tells you to surrender something, when he tells you to surrender people, when he tells you surrender things, surrender it. Because you don't know what is your blessing on the other side of that surrender. So it's important. It's so, so important that you learn that surrendering is a part of the healing process. So I hope that each one of you that's on here tonight really take a look and see what spaces do you need to heal in your life? And what are you doing? What part are you playing in your current suffering or your past suffering? Acknowledge it, accept it, recognize that you're worthy of another chance. You're worthy of the investment of healing. You're worthy of love. No matter how many times you tried, it's okay. If you still have love in your heart for someone, then there is someone out there for you. And if you feel like it's time for you to change your job or your career, then that means it's time to change your job and career and put those steps into motion. You are worthy of newness. And once you worthy, once you accept, then you surrender. And I had to surrender a lot. Not just, my house, and not just, where I lived, and not just jobs, not just a relationship. I had to, not just alcohol, I had to surrender negative thinking because I got comfortable in being the victim in my story. And we don't talk about that a lot, and that's a part of therapy too. You get to a point in therapy and you're like, oh, I recognize all these things are not my fault, right? And that is a part of that worthiness level. But then the next part is, but what part did you play? And a lot of people don't get to that part in therapy, or when it starts to get there, they leave. Because no one wants to hear like you did something wrong. But it's not in the sense of like you're a bad person. It's just recognizing, Kia, you could have handled that differently, right? So for me, I think I posted about this too, about no more Petty Betty. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go on my page and just scroll and you'll see no more Petty Betty. Because I was bullied most of my life, because I grew up as a people pleaser and really conditioned in a toxic household that we were not allowed to say our feelings. Like, kids stay in a child place, and what happens in this house, stay in this house. That kind of toxic thinking made me suppress what I really felt about a lot of things. And I used to journal a lot of those things, and my mom would find my journal and I would get in a lot of trouble because I just wrote about my thoughts, and for a long time I didn't even write because of that. So then I recognized that it's easier for me to just go along and get along, and I became that person for a very long time. And when things rubbed me the wrong way, I chose friendship, or I chose relationship, or chose staying in family members' lives over how they made me feel. And over the last 2 years, because I'm surrendering, I let some people go that were really close to me, that I really did love and care about. But I had to let them go because it was hurting me, or I couldn't be my true self around them. You feel that energy. For some people, I might be a little too happy now. Like, some people only want to be around you when they're doing better than you. And when my joy started really joying, a lot of people distanced themselves from me. And that's okay. And normally I will go chasing to get them back. But I just allow them to move differently. No animosity, no hard feelings, because I played a role in allowing people to treat me that way for a long time. So I can't be mad at them for treating me that way. I allowed you to treat me that way. And because I'm not going to be mad at myself anymore, I will not be mad at you. So that's surrendering, letting things go that you cannot control, letting things go that no longer serves you, letting go those negative thoughts that keep you in bondage and in loyalties that really are harmful and not beneficial for your growth. And as you heal these 3 levels, you'll see you as a whole shift. And as you shift, you become powerful, because then you believe that you deserve more and that you'll gain more and you'll get more and you'll feel all the strength that you need to continue to chase whatever you thought you lost. And things that fall away, things that you lose, you're supposed to lose in that season. We hold a space of gratitude for all the people that made us who we are, all the experiences that made us who we are, all the jobs that made us who we are, all the tears that made us who we are. But we have to accept that healing is levels. And I don't really know. And I'm a therapist, damn good one too. I don't even know when I'll be done this process with my current therapist. I could see me having her for like 10, 20 years. Like maybe not as consistent as I have it now, because the other part of healing, which I didn't talk about, which I may talk about next week, because next week is my birthday week. And another part of healing is expecting great things. And I think that's a topic all in its own. So I think I'm going to do that next Monday. But if you can't get through these 3 levels, and these 3 levels may take you a long time. I think I went through these levels a little bit more accelerated than most people, because I am a trained therapist and I was eager to really walk with my therapist through this. And I had years of therapy with various therapists since a teenager, right? So I was able to go through this healing journey much more accelerated than I think most people would be able to handle, because it's very triggering, right? So I must be like that. It's always a disclaimer with everything. Going through therapy is not, sugar cone and rainbows all the time. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. It's a lot of deep dives of why. And that hurts like hell. But you are so worth it. I knew I was worth it. I knew my future was worth it. I knew my kids was worth it, because I knew my healing was directly tied to their healing and their growth. I knew they couldn't grow if I'm stunted. So I needed them to gain permission to heal. And that was through me out loud healing. And I'm happy to say my son and my daughter both have therapists, their own therapists. And my other kids, all of them except for Hope, has their own therapist. And super, super ugly, hurting. Oh, yes. Not a pretty process. It hurts. It's ugly. And that's why I shared that video with me, Ugly Cry. And it wasn't for attention or anything like that. I was really having a moment, and I normally, tape all my happy moments. So I was like, this is a real moment. Let me capture this moment of me like really having a trigger. And that's what happens when you're healing. You're going to open up some wounds that didn't get disinfected and healed correctly. You have to open them back up. You're going to have to rinse them out. You put some alcohol in the peroxide. It's going to burn, sting, So yes, you're right. It's so ugly. It hurts really bad. But a level of discernment that you get as a healed person. And I asked God for discernment years ago, like, ooh, watch that prayer. Wisdom and discernment, because then you see everything. You feel everything. And it hurts, because it's not for me to defend myself. It's to allowing God's presence to create a fortress around me as I'm healing, and trusting that he's going to protect me while I'm in this sensitive space of healing. And he does all the time. He has never let me down in that way. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And that's how I can be so powerful even in these weak moments. It's because I have this fortress around me, that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That means there will be weapons and they will form, but they won't prosper. So it will sting, but it won't kill you. It will hurt the process, but you won't die. You actually, let's say this, parts of you that need to be laid to rest will die. But what comes after death, we know, if you're a believer, is the resurrection. And that is powerful, because I come back stronger than I ever was before. Who I am now is who I was as a kid, right? Before I was tainted, before I was touched, before I was traumatized, before I was told to shut up, before I was told to be quiet. I am that person again, the person I was born to be. And a lot of us get clouded on what people told us we had to be, and not who we actually are. So we have to go on a venture. And that's what therapy is. A venture to find yourself, to rescue yourself and pull yourself out and enjoy what you have to offer and what you have to offer the world. So so next week, we're going to add the 4th level, which is expecting joy in your life. Because if you do this hard work, there's going to be so much beauty. There's going to be so much peace. And there's going to be so much joy waiting for you. And it will be hard. I cannot promise an easy journey for any of us, because this life is not easy. But you are worth it. You are worth being your best self, your healed self, your whole self. And if I let you in on a little secret, I hope you always remember that you were always made to win. You cannot lose unless you forfeit the game. You're always going to win at the end. Just keep on going. See it through. Watch how God works it out. God bless everyone. Good night.